Hey, how's it going, everyone? Um, the the following is going to be a quick breakdown, more of a guide, really, of how I create modeled, who I followed, and what tutorials I followed in order to model this here that you see here, and how I created and animated that 20-second scene that you saw. Disclosure: I'm a complete Blender noob. I've only been using the software for 3 months. And when I was beginning, excuse me, I had a real tough time trying to get started. I had no clue who to follow. I had no clue who was going to be able to provide me a good guidance in order for me to be able to create what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn a little bit of all the aspects of Blender, from modeling to UV unwrapping to texturing to lighting, uh, to compositing, and then to editing. By the way, all of that I did inside of Blender. Okay, so except the texturing I did in Substance Painter, and I'll jump into some Substance Painter real quick just to show you the actual workflow. But a complete noob to Substance Painter as well. Again, just 3 months. That's it. So again, I had a real tough time trying to figure out how to get started. The following is going to be just a quick guide in order to in order to guide you into who I followed and what I did in order to learn how to do this. I'm a 2D traditional artist. I am a fine artist, meaning I paint on canvas. I don't know how fine about it it really is, but I do paint on canvas. My work has been showed, displayed in several galleries down here in my area. Just a quick intro. By the way, I just screen captured this from my Instagram, so the resolution is real crappy. But just so you can get a sense of what I do, these are paintings done on canvas. The majority have been commissioned by my clients. Okay, so that's one there. Here's a recent one that I just did. This is acrylic on gallery canvas. Okay, so another one there. It's a small little character that I've been, I was working on, just playing around. Um, this one here, this I kind of played around with inks and acrylic. Real cool combination there, the contrast. And lastly, this is a huge commission I did for a buddy of mine. This is a huge painting, by the way. This is like a 4 by 6 feet, 6 foot painting. Took me months to be able to complete. Anyways, back to that's what I do. So I am an artist. That this is not 100% new to me. I understand the concept of 3D, but I had never touched Blender before. And for the last few months, even before I got started, I kind of saw myself going into YouTube and watching one tutorial after the other, or one creator explaining how they did it. And I was really fascinated about jumping into Blender and seeing what it was all about, and maybe if I could do something myself. And I did. It took me 3 months to learn what I learned. Never touching Blender prior, but you can definitely do it. Now, for the modeling, I used a subdivision workflow. Subdivision workflow usually means that when you model, you use what's called a clean topology or a quad topology format. So everything is in quads. You don't have any triangles or any n-gons. Usually, you find that kind of workflow with what a lot of other people that I saw that use was called a Boolean workflow. I'm not a big fan of the Boolean workflow, especially for beginners. I would, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about again because I'm a noob myself. But with a Boolean workflow, what happens is I've tried it myself. I didn't like it at all because once you use the Boolean workflow, your geometry gets all fucked up, man. You know, you have to go back in and fix it and pull points here and there, and it's a nightmare. I rather model from the get-go with clean topology than have to deal with the Boolean workflow. But again, that's just my preference. You know, uh, another thing with the Boolean workflow, if you want to later on use that geometry outside of Blender, if you don't clean it up, you won't be able to use it, especially for a game engine or taking it out to, for example, Substance Painter, which I did here. So that was the workflow I used. The main tutorial I used was for modeling was this gentleman here, Pixelways, and he walks you step by step on how to create this model. I I followed his techniques, but I didn't follow 100%. I kind of went my own way and created a lot of other, I created this, I modeled this, I modeled a lot of different things that he did not. Once I started to feel comfortable and once I started to learn the process. Another gentleman that helped me out a lot with the clean topology and uh, what's called a the reflow of the topology was this gentleman here, JL Musi. He has a lot of short little snippets on YouTube and that are free. And I saw a few, and I picked up a lot of different techniques from what he was talking about, and I was able to model something that's pretty intricate like this, all right, without pinching, creating all sorts of pinch and fucking up my model with the sub D workflow, because the sub D workflow is not perfect. You're gonna run into different issues that you're gonna have to learn how to solve. But if you follow this tutorial, um, if you look at Mr. Musi's explanations, and lastly, another sub D workflow that clarified a lot for me was this gentleman here, Shepard O'Neill. He used Cinema 4D as the software, but the software is completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter what software he used. He could have used Blender or whatever. The point is that you don't need to use Cinema 4D in order to learn what he's teaching, because he's just talking about technique, about flow, edge flow, about how to do different type of modeling, different type of objects with the sub D workflow, and it was extremely helpful. So again, Pixelways for this tutorial, JL Musi, and Mr. Shepard O'Neill. All right, those were the modeling workflows that I use. Next, I'm going to go into very quickly and give you a snippet of what UV unwrapping is. Uh, that that's something that you're going to have to do in order to export your model somewhere else if you want to texture it outside of Blender. Okay, stay tuned. All right, UV unwrapping. So, before I even get into UV unwrapping, real quick, guys, just want to make it very clear that with the a Boolean workflow, if you know what you're doing, okay, it's a perfectly fine workflow. You can always go back, clean your topology, clean your vertices, whatever, and you can make the geometry work perfectly fine. But you have to you have to clean it up before you can export it out anywhere else. Just want to make sure that I personally, again, I'm just starting out. I've only been using the software for 3 months. So for now, I prefer, like I said previously, the subdivision workflow. But you could definitely use the Boolean workflow, again, if you know what you're doing. It's just that if you're a beginner and you want to start to clean topology, that's probably not the best way to jump uh, into modeling. My opinion, and from my experience, that's just just my point of view. Okay. All right. So UV unwrapping. UV unwrapping is nothing more than basically just taking your 3D geometry, right, and breaking it down into a flat plane so that you can take that information and then use it in order to texture and create all the intricacies of those textures in your model. Right. So real quick, for example, let me show you the unwrap I did here of the orb. Let me go into face, click all, and you're gonna see here how everything has been, like if you get a scissor and you start cutting everything out, that's what it is. You cut all the different pieces out, you lay them out in this space, this one by one space here, right? And then you export it over to whatever software you're going to use to texture, or you can use the same UV layout, which is what it's called, in here in Blender with the Blender shading layout, and do the workflow that way. I prefer Substance Painter because Substance Painter is a layer-based program like Photoshop or like GIMP, and Blender uses a node system, and I can't stand the node system, probably because I'm just stupid, and it's very technical and very mathematically inclined, and I'm probably gonna have to resurrect Einstein to come teach me how to use it because that's why I prefer Substance Painter. Also, Substance Painter, you're gonna see now. We're gonna jump into it real quick. It's so freaking awesome, man. It's so powerful, and you can create really awesome, amazing textures like this one that you're looking at here. At least I think is awesome. All right. Next, we're jumping into Substance Painter. Alrighty, here we are in Substance Painter. This is Substance Painter. By the way, if you notice, if you look here, you'll see that this is the actual same UV layout you saw in Blender. Um, and here is the actual model of the orb, right? So I did the texturing in different pieces. I didn't bring everything in all at once because I wanted to concentrate on each piece by piece when I was creating my textures. Okay. By the way, before I continue now with a quick flow of Substance Painter, I forgot to mention for UV editing, you're gonna want to follow. You're gonna want to follow these guys here. You definitely, okay. CG Boost is a group of guys. They have their own website. Their YouTube handle is at CG Boost, and the instructor was Mr. Jim Morin. Thank you, Mr. Morin. The UV layout instructions were phenomenal, guys. Make sure to go there and take a look and follow that tutorial because you're gonna learn how to UV unwrap, you know, and again, you're gonna have to learn how to do that if you want to be able to texture your models properly. Okay, so Substance Painter, here we are. Like I said, Substance Painter, I'm gonna have a real hard time saying that word, is a layer-based program, just like Photoshop. If you look here, you're gonna see it's identical to Photoshop. So it's just layer upon layer. This um, this texture work I did here was quite intricate in my opinion. You can see how I hand painted all that dirt in there. I used a mask in order to achieve all that edge wear because the program is going to do a lot of work, most of the work for you. However, you don't want to rely 100% on all the different masks that are already pre-made. That's fantastic. It's a good start, but you want to always come in and hand paint all the extra little details that the mask is not going to give you. And that's what I did. I came in, I hand painted all the details, all the dirt, and I created all these extra uh, decals, or they're done with what's called a height map, um, where you can come in and it looks like it's part of the geometry, but it's not. It's not. It's kind of like tricking the you know it's like a trick. It's not really there. It's like a texture almost, right? But it looks like if it's part of the geometry. But if you really pay close attention, you'll see that it's flat. right? So that's how I created all the different textures for my model in order to learn how to use Substance Painter properly. And again, I was a complete noob to it as well. I followed this gentleman here. Okay, his name is Michael Tanzillo. I hope I'm not destroying your last name, my bro. Sorry. Mike, his handle is at Michael Tanzillo. He is the head of the 3D artist of the Substance 3D growth team. That's a word for there, huh? That's what was in his bio. So he's one of the big main guys there, and he's the one who did the tutorial himself. He has, I think it was like 50 different videos that he goes into detail about everything in the program. Everything. Basic to the real intricate stuff. So again, go into his channel and watch the Substance Painter videos, because that's all you need to do in order to learn the entire workflow. He goes through everything. Let me open up real quick another part of what I part of the model here that I textured, which was the gun. Again, you see all the different layers upon layers and folders and whatnot that I used, and a lot of this was hand painted. Again, don't solely rely on the masks that are already made. It's a good starting point, but I would advise for you to go in and paint all the extra little details yourself, because otherwise it looks like it was something that was generated, as opposed to something that you came in and you manually did a lot of the work. All these scratches here, I manually painted all of that, right? I also, how with metal, when it reaches really super high temperatures, it gets that rainbow color effect. I came in and I hand painted the barrel here in order to reflect that rainbow effect that metals get once a lot of heat goes. Once it's been once it goes through a lot of different heat cycles. So I was then painted as well. And let me show you one last thing I did here. Again, followed the tutorials that I mentioned, which I think was really cool how it turned out. Um, Here you can really see the details of the texture work and all the mud and dust that I applied on the different layers and all that. Uh, Different cracks, and the glass was kind of breaking. Also inside, you could tell that there's kind of like a liquid in there. I don't know if you can see the bubbles from the liquid. If you hide the glass, there's an actual texture in there of the kind of like a green goo, which is powering the orb itself, right? So all this was achieved again with this software. It's a phenomenal software. It's the only software I used outside of Blender. I subscribed. It has a monthly subscription. Um, if you want to use it, or you could, if you pay one, I think you can pay once, and you can keep it um, for however long you need it. But it's a phenomenal piece of software. All right, next, I'm going to show you a quick breakdown of the actual scene at the very beginning of the video. Okay, so this is the final part of my breakdown here. This is the actual scene that you see at the beginning that I animated, right? So if you press, this is the timeline down here. If you press play, you're gonna be able to, see the animation that I created. There he comes, boom, stops, and he sees something interesting, what's going on, and at the end he just flies away. So basically, for the animation, I used this gentleman right here. The animation wasn't honestly my favorite part of the whole process, and I'll let me show you why. If we go into the animation layout here, you're gonna see all these different uh, lines and points and whatnot. These are all keyframes, okay? And you can manually come in and uh, manipulate them in order to get the effect that you're looking for. Um, it wasn't really you know a whole lot of fun, but then again, if animation is really what you're interested in, let me show you the tutorial I followed in order to learn how to work with what this is called the graph editor. All right, and this is mainly where you're going to be when you animate, because you can have to come in and edit all the different keyframes that you want to manipulate in order to get the effect that you're looking for. The gentleman, his YouTube handle is at Alex on Story. Alex on Story. Thank you, Alex. Your tutorials are awesome. You explain everything really, really, precisely. Mr. Alex also goes into the history of animation and how the old guys did it in Disney and all the different techniques that are used, and it's just phenomenal, man. Honestly, a lot of knowledge, and his animations themselves are really, really good. So again, Alex on Story. Thanks again, Alex. That's how I created it. Just go follow him on YouTube. Look at his tutorials, because you're gonna learn. If you're interested in animation, you're gonna really learn everything you need to from him. Okay. Let me go back to my layout just so I can show you the actual scene here in the render view. Um, and I'll talk real quickly about what I did here uh, to to model it, to create it, and wow, this thing is taking its sweet time. And I don't have a chump video card. I have a good video card. I have an NVIDIA 4070 Ti. It's no slouch. But with the scene being so heavy, this is something you're gonna have to deal with if you go to the shading or the rendering viewport here. Okay, so the scene again is very basic, right? This is just a plane. Let me step out and show you what I mean. This is just a plane that I modeled. I started out with. Let me show you the. This is the only plugin I used in the entire uh, project here. You're gonna be very tempted to download plugins. Very tempted. Oh my God, there's some amazing stuff out there. My advice is, if you want to learn Blender and all the different aspects, or even just concentrating one aspect, don't download plugins. Learn how to do it, because what's the point of downloading a plugin that does it for you? If you're not going to learn, what's the whole point of doing anything if the plugin's going to do everything for you? They're very helpful. There are plugins that uh, you know help you out with different things depending on what it is you want to do. So you could definitely um, use them that way. Once, if you want to populate your scene with the trees and whatnot, again, there's a website called Superhive, and it's specifically just for Blender. If you go there, you can download plugins. But if you really want to learn how to do whatever it is you want to learn how to do in Blender, well, learn how to do it. Don't download the plugin and let the plugin do it for you. Okay. Now, talking about plugins, this is the only one I used. It's called ANT Landscape, and I honestly didn't really even use it because let me go into my view here. Um, I generated this with the plugin, but I didn't. It goes into all sorts of. If you hit Shift A and you go to Mesh and you hit Landscape, it's gonna add something already pre-built, and you have all these settings here that you can manipulate. So I did some of the manipulations. There's a lot of settings and whatnot. But at the end of the day, what I ended up doing in order to get the geometry the way I wanted it to look is I selected it and I went into Sculpt, Okay, and I started see how you I started sculpting um, the actual, what I actually wanted to do. Okay, and and I did very, it was just very basic. If you see, it's just a very basic geometry, right? I didn't go crazy, but that's basically how I modeled all these different planes. I duplicated them. I didn't want to spend another week or two modeling the rocks, so I did download this asset from. It used to be called Bridge. It changed now. Is the Unreal Engine website where you can go in and they have a bunch of free assets that you can download. Really cool. So these rocks, I just downloaded two or three, and I just duplicated everything. Okay, I just duplicated it and I spread it out. So it's a real simple scene. It might look complex, um, but it's really not. It's just, again, it's just modeling two, three different things, and duplicating them and just spreading them out. And really, is what you're doing is you're faking. It's a trickery. you know, kind of like how the old masters used to matte paint. They would put up a glass in front of the camera, and they would paint the glass, and it looked like whatever you were viewing it was actually there, but it was not. So it's the same concept in 3D. Again, if you look at the actual scene here, it looks like, it's real intricate and whatnot, but it's not. It's actually a very simple scene. Also, check this out. If you look at this object here, guess what? That's not a model. That's not an actual model. Um, that object here is actually, if it lets me grab it, let me grab you, bro. What do you say, bro? You let me grab you? It doesn't want to. Hold on. You see, I told you guys I'm a noob. I'm still learning. But if you notice, it's actually just a 2D plane. Here we go. Finally, let me grab. It's just an image on a 2D plane with an alpha channel on it, with a transparency, and it looks like a 3D model, but it's not. All right. So be careful with this, because if you just start bringing different assets and applying the texture to the plane, um, if you don't properly set it up, like when you create it, if you don't light it properly, like if you can tell the sun is hitting it from here and the shadowing, so it matches the lighting of the scene perfectly. If you don't do that, it's gonna look out of place. Okay. So be careful with that, because again, I have a 2D painting background, so I'm very familiar with how highlights, shadows, all the different values and tones work, because I paint on canvas. So I, I know basically how to set it up so it looks like it's part of the scene. But you can get away with a lot by doing that. This plane back here is the actual background. It's just a picture I downloaded. And if you look at this little planet here, again, same concept as this. All right. So this is just you know hand painted circle in GIMP. Brought it over here. Brought it over here. What the hell happened to my voice? Brought it over here. I put a transparency on it, and it looks like it's there, but it's just a flat plane as well. So that's it. That's basically it, guys. This is how I created the modeling, the animation, the lighting. And by the way, the lighting is just a simple, it's called a Nichita sky texture. Um, I really didn't follow. I mean, I just went on YouTube and I started looking at how do you create lighting in Blender, and there's a bunch of different things that you can look at. But it's just, this might look, again, intricate, that there's a lot of lights and all that. It's just this. It's just the sun. The real cool thing about it is that in the settings here, you can actually manipulate. If you look here, you can actually manipulate all the different uh, tones and values with all these settings here, the dust, see how it changes, all the different, the ozone starts to really give the scene the look that you want. You can also, in the rotation here, you can play around with the rotation of the actual rotation of the sun, and it changes the entire mood and lighting just by messing around with some of these settings. Okay, that was basically it. I hope this has been helpful. I know that again, I had to go through a lot of different research in order to find what I needed to, in order to find what I showed you here. Uh, that really helped me out in order to concentrate on the modeling, okay, on the UV unwrapping, on Substance Painter, which is awesome, the animation, and last but not least, Mr. Ryan King Art. His handle is at Ryan King Art, and he has quite a few tutorials as well. I basically followed his tutorials on compositing and also on editing, and he has really good tutorials on that. So you can go to Mr. Ryan King Art if you want to learn how to also composite and edit inside Blender. This is a free software that is phenomenal. All right, you don't need to purchase a package for editing. You don't need to purchase a package for compositing like After Effects. You can do all that inside of Blender for free. Okay, that is fantastic. Okay, softwares like Blender uh, go for thousands of dollars. So the just the ability to be able to do everything in one package is just fantastic for free. Are you kidding me? Um, and on top of that, very powerful. It does the same as Maya and as I wouldn't say as ZBrush because ZBrush is for sculpting and Blender sculpting. I would say needs a lot of work. I don't know how to use it, so I think I'm going to concentrate on that next. I want to learn how to sculpt in Blender and learn that workflow. But anyways, I hope this was helpful. I had a heck of an awesome time learning all the different techniques and creating this, and I hope this inspires you to go out. If I did it and I had never touched any of these softwares before, you can definitely do it. Um, and once you do, please reach out and show me what you were able to create. Thanks again for watching.